According to national statistics, 1 in 68 children have an autism spectrum disorder. In Michigan, 50 to 80,000 people have autism. What resources are available to help them? Let's talk about it.
Welcome to a new and exciting season of My Healthy Mind. I'm Elizabeth Atkins, and this is Michael Hunter. Every week on My Healthy Mind, we invite guests to talk about mental health issues that people are often reluctant to talk about in public. Our guests include mental health experts along with people who have triumphed over mental health issues that have impacted them and their families. In Michigan, about 50 to 80,000 people have Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD, which we know more commonly as autism.
And 16,000 children with autism are enrolled in schools across our state. The disorder attracts a lot of media attention because it's being talked about more and more and more. And we're going to talk about it today.
Yes, and Michael, we're so fortunate that talking about it with us today will be Michigan Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley, who will talk about his family's experience with autism as well as how he's advocating on behalf of families across Michigan to provide better services.
And he'll be joined by Dr. Colleen Allen, who is the president and CEO of Autism Alliance of Michigan. Together, they've implemented the autism insurance reform legislation so that people have better access to those important services that are needed. And there's also an online tool that they've sponsored to help families navigate to those services.
And later we'll talk with Kristin Rohrbeck. She's director of OU Cares, which provides outreach services for the Oakland University Center for Autism. She'll talk about the programs that OU Cares offers for people starting at age 3 into adulthood. And joining her will be Sean Rosen, a paid intern with OU Cares, who has participated in their computer skills program.
We're going to have a great show today, so please join us after the break.
We really are about supporting families. We want parents to know and understand that they really do know what's best for their child. And at the Children's Center, we help them along that path of discovery. We help them along the path of coming up with a plan that they know will work for their families.
We are this close.
We're this close.
We are this close of wanting to making history.
This close to changing the world.
We're this close.
This close. This close to making sure no child suffers a crippling disease
Ever again.
This close.
We are this close to ending polio.
Ending polio.
All we need is you.
This close.
If we don't act now, we may lose this chance forever. Help Rotary make history at endpolionow.org.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Towards the 6th court date, I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. Today we're honored to have Michigan's Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley, who will talk about the strides that our state is making to help people with autism spectrum disorder. With him is Dr. Colleen Allen. She's president and CEO of the Autism Alliance of Michigan. She has developed many programs about autism diagnosis, and now she helps families and caregivers navigate those services. Lieutenant Governor Calley and Dr. Allen, we're so happy you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And welcome to My Healthy Mind. Lieutenant Governor Calley, I heard you speak so poignantly about your daughter Reagan and the diagnosis that she got on autism spectrum disorder. And I would love for you to please share your story about how your family has been impacted by autism.
Reagan was a child that we thought in the beginning maybe just a difficult child, difficult behaviors. And things started to get harder and harder in terms of even something as simple as leaving the house and what order do you put coat and gloves and hat on to leave the house. And even wearing shoes, she wouldn't wear shoes for over a year. And you might imagine in a state like Michigan, that's a big problem. And but we knew that there was some real struggle there, some difference that, but we didn't know how to help. I was in a committee meeting, learning about autism in the House of Representatives when there was a boy who was 9 years old, and he was reading testimony. And what he was essentially doing was describing himself before he received behavioral therapy. And what he described in that piece of paper was so close to what we were experiencing at home. And so I was in a committee meeting at the House of Representatives when I realized that my daughter had autism. And that really started a journey to take the personal life experience and try to use that in order to make the world work better for similarly situated people.
So Dr. Allen, what characteristics or behaviors does the clinician or the doctor look for to come up with a diagnosis for autism?
So autism is a spectrum disorder. It is a neurodevelopmental condition which is made up primarily of behaviors or symptoms in 3 different categories. One would be in social skills, the other in communication, and then what we call restricted repetitive behaviors. Really, clinicians are looking for the constellation of behaviors in those categories. And so what makes diagnosing difficult is that you have individuals that can look really different. If you have one person, for example, that has more significant and more prominent behaviors in one or more of those categories to a greater extent, that person looks different than somebody, say, on the other end of the spectrum. So accommodating those differences is a challenge in terms of service provision, and what we might do for a newly diagnosed child can look really different from a child at an older age, especially if their presentations differ.
And Dr. Allen, it sounds like an accurate diagnosis is such a crucial component to getting the proper treatment for autism, and that's what you, Lieutenant Governor Calley, so eloquently explained about the diagnosis for Reagan and how that inspired you as a state leader to take action on behalf for other families. Can you tell us more about that?
What became very quickly clear after this realization that Reagan likely had autism was that we had a system that was very undeveloped and underdeveloped in Michigan, where just getting a diagnosis was about a 6-month waiting period. In some cases, it's longer than that. There was maybe 3 dozen or so autism providers in the entire state of Michigan back in 2010. That meant that most kids went unserved. And so that really did reveal a need to make changes in our insurance laws in order to allow for the development of an appropriate network so that people can get the diagnosis, get an appropriate behavior plan in place, and then implement that plan over the years of that child's life, and especially early on. Here's the amazing thing is that, like when my daughter started, for example, she did not have language skills. She could repeat words, but she could not use words to meet her needs. So if you met my daughter today, many clinicians would say she has high-functioning autism. But that's because she received the services that she needed. And that's what we really need to strive for, is to make sure every family has access to the services that are needed, so that because it's the right thing to do, and you allow that person to really live an independent life.
Lieutenant Governor Calley and Dr. Allen, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about the expanded services that are now available for families with autism. thanks to legislation sponsored by Lieutenant Governor Calley and Dr. Allen, the Autism Insurance Reform. We'll be right back.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Towards the 6th court date, I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
We've had a few families who've come through more than once, and the thing that they do like is the environment. They feel much more comfortable. They feel like their true needs will be addressed when they come to the Crisis Care Center.
Jenna, is everything okay in there?
Just a minute, Grandma.
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. We're talking about autism spectrum disorder with Michigan's Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley and Dr. Colleen Allen of the Autism Alliance of Michigan. Lieutenant Governor, we started talking about autism insurance reform. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and some of the expanded services and where we're going in the future?
Well, the main thing, the main purpose, the reason that we desperately needed autism insurance reform was to create an environment where people could go into the practice of providing autism services in the first place. In 2012, when this went into place, we had a very constricted service network of providers, and maybe 30 to 40 total in the entire state that worked with children with autism. Today, just a few years later, we are up to about 350 providers. That's a lot of ground that we've made up in a short period of time. However, we've got a long way to go. I think we probably need 1,200 to 1,500 of these types of professionals in our state in order to adequately serve our entire population. But we're well on our way, and it is making a big difference.
And Dr. Allen, now that all these services and programs do exist, you have something called MINavigator, an online tool to help families and individuals navigate all the services. Can you tell us about MINavigator, please?
Sure. You know, we really as an organization were founded on a need for some type of service for families to understand autism, what the diagnosis means, how you treat it, what am I supposed to do when my child goes to school. And so, we wanted to provide a service where we could answer those questions for families and not be the direct provider ourselves, but to help them navigate to the right resource, or to give them the information, the questions to ask when you meet that therapist, so you know you're getting a good service. So just as the Lieutenant Governor described, you know, we've had such an expansion of services, and with a reimbursement mechanism in place on the private and more recently on the Medicaid side, we have an expanded autism benefit. We're getting providers coming to our state. Our universities are graduating more of these trained clinicians, and it's all fabulous. We need the growth, but in many respects, I think it's made it even that more difficult to know what I need as a parent. And so we try to be the voice of reason and get families to where they need to go. And it's been a need for a while, but especially I feel like right now we've never seen such a significant need around help me understand all this and know what to do.
And Lieutenant Governor, we're making such good strides, as you said, and with Medicaid being a part of the reform, what are some of the other goals, or what should we expect to happen next?
Well, right now, it's a very exciting time in service providers, particularly for kids on Medicaid, that the age at which you can get this applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy, is being expanded from through age 5 all the way through to age 21. And so that's a big change that's happening in our state right now, and it's going to help kids that do desperately need help. Now, beyond that, then I view the next big frontier in making the world work better for people with autism. It's our public education system, special education services. We're really shifting a lot of our attention and focus toward the special education system today to try and better equip teachers, particularly general education teachers, that are being asked to do more than they ever have before in terms of inclusion and integration of students with special needs into their general education settings. We need to really take direct and intentional steps toward helping teachers develop those competencies.
Lieutenant Governor, as we continue to empower the citizens we have with autism, talk about employability and what the future is for them.
If there's one area where I think we have a tremendous amount of untapped potential, is our workforce needs more people with autism in it. In fact, I'd say our workforce needs more people with disabilities across the board. But the idea is that we need to focus on or find the strengths or the amazing potential that is inside of people with autism. In some ways, too, there are challenges, there are problematic behaviors, but this, we call it a symptom when a person with autism has a tendency toward repetitive behaviors and really focusing in intensely on a certain area. Well, sometimes that turns into an expertise in very complicated subject matter, and a capacity to retain, understand, and process information way beyond a regular human being. We need to deal with the problematic behaviors, yes, but we also need to build around the potential that a person has to really go out there and change the world.
Lieutenant Governor Calley and Dr. Allen, thank you so much for helping our viewers understand autism and the many services that are now available thanks to you. Thank you. And coming up after a short break, we'll talk with Kristin Rohrbeck. She's director of OU Cares, the Oakland University Center for Autism. And joining her will be Sean Rosen, an OU Cares participant and paid intern. Stay with us.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Towards the 6th court date, I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my dad.
You can do this.
Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7.
We really are about supporting families. We want parents to know and understand that they really do know what's best for their child. And at the Children's Center, we help them along that path of discovery. We help them along the path of coming up with a plan that they know will work for their families.
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. Earlier we learned from Michigan's Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley and Dr. Colleen Allen of the Autism Alliance of Michigan what the state is doing to help those with autism. Now we're going to talk with Kristin Rohrbeck, Director of OU Cares, the Oakland University's outreach program at their Center of Autism. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Talk to us about what OU Cares is and what you're doing with your programs for autism.
Of course. So OU Cares is the outreach services within our Center for Autism at Oakland University. We have a number of programs and services to improve the quality of life of individuals on the autism spectrum, from ages 2 all the way up through adulthood. So we have programs for everyone across the lifespan, and we have programs for all different types of functioning levels on the autism spectrum, which we're really proud of. We have everything from social skills programs, employable skills programs, recreational sports programs. We have a number of different camps for individuals during the summertime as well as a lot of different things that parents and family members, community members can get involved in as well. So educators, social workers, therapists.
Sounds like you have a lot of great programs. Earlier today, Lieutenant Governor Calley talked about the importance of getting the right training for people with autism so they can contribute to the workforce. Tell us how you're helping to achieve that.
So we actually are working with not only a number of individuals on the spectrum, but we're working with the Department of Health and Human Services through the state of Michigan. They've given us a grant through the Center for Autism at Oakland University in order to further our employable skills program. So for example, this last year we were able to improve and increase the number of computer skills programs that we're offering individuals on the spectrum. And actually we were able to develop into a paid internship program as well for individuals on the spectrum, which actually Sean here is a person who's gone through a number of our programs, and he's actually taking advantage of our internship program.
And Sean, why don't you tell us about the programs and how it's benefited you so far?
In 2014, I took part in a film workshop, and last year I took part in 2 Photoshop classes.
We're so delighted that you're here, Sean. So can you tell us a little bit more about how being involved in the program really helps you? And you're a paid intern, so what do you do there?
Yeah, I'm part of a team that creates and designs promotional materials for clients. We will make flyers, coupons, and compose text for posting on social media sites.
Yeah. So talk about how Sean's ability to do all these things thanks to the training kind of shatters stereotypes and stigmas about people with developmental disabilities. It's really remarkable.
So especially autism spectrum disorders oftentimes are characterized by a lack of socialization, not being able to connect with other people, and not being able to maybe do some of the things that you'd expect that Sean is talking about, some of those really, really technical skills that Sean was able to master, and that's why he's got his internship now. So I see a huge difference in the way that Sean has been able to interact with his peers, the way that he shows respect and interacts with all of the instructors and the facilitators and the clients now in his internship. You've really come into your own so that you can show off kind of not only those interpersonal skills, but also all those technical skills. You show them the business card, you show all the clients what you're able to do now.
Wow, Sean and Kristin, this is really special. We are so grateful that you've come to help our viewers get a better understanding of the true potential that people with autism can achieve when given the right resources and training. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And after this short break, we'll have more about programs that are available for people with autism so that they can achieve their true potential. We'll be right back.
Yeah, Grandma, everything's fine.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my dad.
You can do this.
Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7.
We want to thank Michigan's Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley and Dr. Colleen Allen of the Autism Alliance of Michigan for joining us today, along with Kristin Rohrbeck and Sean Rosen from OU Cares, the outreach program at Oakland University Center for Autism. Their advocacy and the programs to help the people in Michigan is so valuable. It's opening doors, it's raising awareness. Many families are impacted by autism and getting help because of it. Elizabeth, what did you take away from today's show?
I absolutely love the fact that Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley is an elected official, and yet his passion and his work has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with helping families. He's a dad, and he's taking his personal experience and helping thousands of others receive the services that they need based on the experience that inspired him to action. Love that.
And he really moved me because of this initiative. People with any disability have a greater chance at employability, careers. Sean was just so amazing. Everything that has happened in his life because people have finally taken the right steps to provide help just humbles me to no end. And before we close today's show, we also want to remind our viewers that we have an exciting season lined up this year. We have Mariel Hemingway.
Yes, the Academy Award nominated actress and granddaughter of literary giant Ernest Hemingway. How exciting is that?
Absolutely. She's going to be a guest on our show as she's in town locally in the Detroit metro area.
Yes, for the Team Cares Luncheon on March 29th at the Henry in Dearborn. You can get information about this wonderful luncheon on our website, myhealthymind.com, and she'll be talking about suicide prevention because that's a tragic legacy in her family, and she's advocating aggressively. So again, here's someone taking their own personal story and using it to help thousands, if not millions of people.
Absolutely.
Remember, there's no topic that's off limits here on My Healthy Mind. This is an open, safe forum for you to share any ideas that you'd like us to talk about relating to mental illness, addiction, abuse, and other topics that might be difficult. Please send us an email, contact us on Facebook and Twitter, and share any ideas that you'd like to hear us explore so that we can help you connect with the resources that you need to heal and live your best life.
A great season ahead. Don't forget us, myhealthymind.com, Facebook, Twitter, and we will see you next time on My Healthy Mind.